Was there a time when you have disagreed with somebody you care about, like deeply disagreed, but instead of saying that out loud, you kept quiet? Was there a time when your lover or friend or family member disrespected or offended you, but instead of speaking out, you suffered in silence and just kind of hoped that the issue would go away? However, the issue didn't go away and it kept happening, thus causing you to act passive-aggressive towards the person rather than talking to them directly, or having an emotional blowout where you said all the things that you were bothering you all at once, but at the worst time. If you get anxious when a disagreement happens, discomfort when you have to confront a loved one with an issue, or run away from issues rather than facing them head on, then you might be conflict avoidant. Hello Moodlings, my name is Dr. Nicole Lunan and I'm the CEO and co-founder of MoodMe, a new app that allows you to share over 400 and plus moods, emotions, and desires with your lover, thus making communication simple, fun, and super easy. Conflict avoidants have a deep fear of disappointing or being abandoned by others. So conflict avoidants will make themselves uncomfortable in order to avoid making another person upset. They'll do what they can to not rock the boat. This includes minimizing their feelings, denying that there's a problem, staying quiet, running away when tension builds, or avoiding showing up if they know that a conflict will occur. So you know you're conflict avoidant if you strive to be seen as the nice one, change the subject when confrontation arises, avoid disagreeing with others even when you really disagree, bottle up feelings instead of being honest, then explode later or act passive-aggressive. If you're afraid of expressing your true self, speak to other people about your conflicts rather than talking directly to the person that you're upset with. Fortunately, suppressing emotions and acting like everything is okay when it just isn't makes the negative emotions stew, boil, and turn into resentment. It's common for conflict avoidants to have volcanic emotional outbursts, as their hidden emotions can't stay under the surface for long. The true feelings accumulate, build up, then at times they come out like word vomit or unhealthy actions and cause the conflict avoidant to feel ashamed. Conflict avoidants might think, this is what always happens when I say how I'm really feeling. Then they don't feel comfortable expressing themselves because they associate being honest with feeling shame and embarrassment. Then the next time a conflict happens, they stay quiet, they hold their feelings in. Then once their emotions are too heavy, an emotional explosion occurs once again, thus creating a vicious cycle. Those who are conflict avoidant expect that there is going to be negative reactions or consequences to confrontation. They don't trust the situation will end in a positive manner. Conflict avoidance originates mainly from people-pleasing. People-pleasing is the strong urge to please others even if it's at their own expense. Those who suffer from people-pleasing and conflict avoidance may feel emotional, mental, physical distress when they know they've upset another person. Unfortunately, we can't avoid distress because if we hold our emotions in, it causes emotional exhaustion and burnout. The bottled up emotions have to go somewhere, and it can even manifest physically as a sickness. Definitely a big sign that you're conflict avoidant is if you go and talk to everybody else about the conflict, but you don't talk to the one person that you have the conflict with because you're fearful or you're anxious, you don't know how they're gonna react. But you have the confidence to talk to everybody else, but just not that one person that you're actually upset with. Conflict avoidance is associated with lying and being dishonest. You're not being honest about how you're truly feeling about something and instead acting like everything is okay. This can be misleading to other people and they may feel confused or upset when the truth comes out in the end. Conflict avoidance can cause distrust in relationships. The other person may not trust you to be authentic. They might feel like they're walking on eggshells because they don't know when they've upset you or the next time that you're gonna have an emotional outburst. And you gotta think about the person on the other side. They probably feel safe and comfortable because they think that what they're doing is working for you. But secretly underneath, you're like, I don't agree with what you're doing and you've offended me. And so when the truth finally comes out, they're very confused, hurt, and they feel like they don't trust what you're saying. They don't trust that you're leading authentically forwards. So let's go over 6 tips on how to help you stop being conflict avoidant. Tip number 1, give your inner child its voice back. If you're conflict avoidant, think about your childhood. Why did you learn this habit? Did your caretakers provide a safe environment for you to speak about your feelings, or were there consequences if you didn't agree with them? If so, what kind of consequences? Were your emotions met with anger, criticism, or abandonment, even if they were expressed in a respectful manner? Or maybe you never saw your parents work through conflict in a healthy way, or possibly they didn't argue at all, so you didn't really learn how to work through a conflict. Somewhere in your adolescence, you learned that the safest bet was to stay quiet and smile rather than cause a rift in the energy, and that it's not worth to share your opinions, thoughts, and feelings. If you're reading or watching this now, you're most likely an adult, which means that you have the chance to reparent your inner child. You can close your eyes and speak to your inner child. Tell your inner child that it's safe to tell the truth, express emotions, and set boundaries. Give your inner child its voice back. Tip number 2, accept that conflicts are going to happen. There's no escaping conflicts, especially in intimate relationships. In order to get past the fear of conflicts and finally stop avoiding them, is to first accept that conflicts aren't going anywhere. Accept that bottling up emotions and exploding randomly or acting passive aggressive may not be the healthiest way to communicate. So, if bottling isn't working and you don't want to run away from your relationship, then you'll have to find the courage to speak your truth. When we avoid speaking our truth to our partner, it actually creates emotional distance from our romantic partner. Our partners may be confused what they've done wrong or where they've crossed our boundaries because we just haven't been honest about what works for us and what doesn't. So we can't go through life thinking that conflicts aren't going to happen. They're gonna happen at work, they're gonna happen at home, they're gonna happen in your family life, they're gonna happen in your friendships. So this is one step closer to stop being conflict avoidant, is to just accept that conflicts are actually a normal thing that happens. That's not a terrible thing. It doesn't need to end in them leaving forever or a huge blowout, especially when done in a respectful manner one-on-one. Tip number 3, reframe conflict as an opportunity for growth. In order to overcome the fear of conflict, it helps to reframe conflicts and work to find the value in them rather than seeing conflict as something incredibly hurtful. We can turn our attention to how conflict is productive. Conflict is an opportunity for the relationship to grow. Do you want the same negative relationship pattern to occur over and over again? If you want change, you'll have to face your fear and work through the worry of actually making another person uncomfortable. From here on, look at conflict as a way to bring you closer to another person. You know, it's fascinating because as a conflict avoidant, one could feel super resentful of the other person. And like, why are they doing this? Why are they treating me this way? Why are they offending me, disrespecting me? Why are they acting like that and it's hurting me? Because they don't know that it's actually hurting you if you haven't said it out loud. So that resentment and that anger isn't actually towards them. It's actually towards the conflict avoidant for not feeling safe enough or not having the courage to actually speak out about what's troubling them. So shout out to all the conflict avoidants out there. Everybody else cannot read your mind. And it's an unfair assumption to think that they can and that they'll just kind of fall in line with what your silent expectations of them are. It's not really fair and it's really confusing. So we have to learn how to actually speak our truths and let our inner child come forward with its wants and desires and have it feel safe enough to express what it actually wants without the fear of upsetting another person. Because we can't go through life trying to tiptoe around other people's feelings. Like I said before, conflicts are gonna happen. And that's one thing that we just have to truly accept. Or maybe you're the type of conflict avoidant that runs away from problems and people that you're having conflict with. And I would like to challenge you on that. Although it's safe, it feels safe to run away and just avoid this uncomfortable conversation. If you really care about that person and if you want to nourish the friendship or the relationship, is running away and just avoiding and hoping the issue solves itself the best way forwards? Conflict avoidants often feel actual stress, anxiety, ball of worry and pain in their chest when it comes time to say how they're truly feeling. And I believe that's a trauma response. Probably they were traumatized as a child, they didn't feel safe. So that same kind of response they felt as a child probably gets activated as an adult when they're forced to confront an uncomfortable situation with somebody they really care about and want in their lives. Also, if you can't talk to your friend or your family member or your partner about something that's upsetting you, and I mean owning your own how you feel and not projecting, because projecting makes people upset sometimes, often, but owning your own emotions, saying I feel like this, and then doing it on a one-on-one. Don't confront them in front of a group. That's not going to be the best way because people get embarrassed and they get defensive, but respectfully so, on a one-on-one with your person that you care about, if they can't listen to you without blowing up in your face or getting angry or walking out, then that's a problem that they're dealing with. And you can feel good that you actually made a change and felt comfortable enough to speak out and speak up. And they'll maybe come around later. If not, they're not meant to be in your life. But if they'll probably come around and know that you were just speaking from a place of love. Somehow, conflict avoidants learn that if you don't confront the problem head on, then there'll be less drama. That is the opposite. If you don't confront the problem head on in a respectful manner and an I feel manner, there will be more drama, because what will happen is you might speak to people that are around this person, like your friends and family, people that know this person, and then that might leak out to the person that you have the issue with. And instead of hearing it straight from your mouth, they could hear it from all these other people. Or again, like there's plenty of situations where I've seen friends that I knew were upset with another person and they started drinking. And then all of a sudden at the end of the night, that alcohol gave them some liquid courage to speak about why they're upset, but it comes out in the most terrible and offensive way. And the other person is just completely offended. They're not caring about what was said. All they care about is that this person spoke out in a really disrespectful manner. So the problem itself isn't even resolved, and it creates more problems and more drama. Tip number 4, journal. If you have a tough time using your voice to express yourself about a conflict, teach yourself first by journaling and writing out your true emotions. Get your thoughts together and give yourself space and freedom to dive into why you feel the way you do. Then, when you feel the time is right, you'll be ready to speak about the conflict because you're more prepared. You'll feel more confident knowing that you've done the emotional work and are acting instead of reacting. It may also help to write down what you like to say before a disagreement and then read off your notes. So if you get lip locked when it comes to confrontation and your voice suddenly you don't know what to say, you don't know how to connect your feelings to your words, it really helps if you write it down. Write it down. You can write the script before you even get to this person to talk to them. And then you don't have to think about it as much because you've already done the work and you know what you want to say. The write it down method helps a lot with intimate relationships because sometimes confrontation can level up into, and then you start here and then all of a sudden you're talking about why they didn't take the trash out 3 years ago. I feel like the write it out method helps to keep on track and keep consistent about what it is you want to talk about. Tip number 5, let go of trying to control the other person's reaction. You cannot control another person. What you tell them might cause an emotional reaction that displeases you, but it's not about pleasing the other person. It's about standing up for yourself in the healthiest way, communicating your truth and allowing your inner child to speak. So if you're a really big people pleaser, then you might want to always be seen as the nice one. You want to try to do everything you know that's gonna please this other person because you're kind of trying to control the way they see you. So bringing up a conflict is terrifying because you can't control the way that they're gonna react, and nor should you be able to or want to. They're their own individual person and they deserve a chance to react to how you feel about them honestly. And tip number 6, remember that being dishonest and avoidant won't stop another person from leaving. Sometimes we hide our truth because we want the other person to see us as valuable, nice, easygoing. We may think if we cause issues in our loved one's life, they might not want to be around us anymore. We feel anxious that they'll abandon us or take space and just slowly never come back. However, if we hide our emotions and passively attack the other person or blow up on them, then that may truly make them frustrated, possibly even more frustrated than if we found a good time to speak to them alone in a respectful manner about how we're feeling. We can't live in fear and scarcity. That only manifests more fear and scarcity. We have to look within and see our value as a person, our value as a friend, a lover, a family member. If the person you're afraid to talk to leaves after you speak to them one-on-one respectfully, then maybe they're just not meant to be in your life. You don't have to suffer in silence to try to keep people who are meant to be in your life. Those who are meant to be for you in your life will stick around through thick and thin. So those people who are really for you, who cherish your relationship and your friendship, they're gonna stick around after the conflict happens. And conflict even has a way of making your relationship stronger because you know that you can be honest with each other. You know that you can get over any little humps that come your way. Conflicts actually build resilience. There are some people who, even if you speak to them in a respectful way, they may not be able to take a look at what you're pushing forwards. They're just not ready to look at that part of themselves yet. That doesn't mean that they won't be able to look at it at all at any point in time. But if you're pointing out, like if you're putting a flashlight on a particular shadow that they're uncomfortable with, then don't take it personally if they do decide to take space, because that might mean they're just not ready to work on that shadow yet. They're not ready to look at themselves in the mirror and face what you're saying. One thing that might turn you around from being conflict avoidant and hiding your truth is the fact that it's actually linked to being dishonest and lying. If you are okay with lying and being dishonest, that's one thing. But if you're not okay with that, then you being conflict avoidant and acting like everything is okay when it's really not is kind of a form of like lying. You're not leading with your true self. You may wear one mask and there's another mask underneath, and it's kind of unfair to the other person, and it's unfair to yourself. Thanks for watching our video. If you like our video, please leave a comment underneath, subscribe, share, and like, and download MoodMe. MoodMe is the perfect tool to help you through your fear of conflict and learning how to work through conflict in a healthy and a communicative manner. See you later, Moodlings.